Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Twigi iRacing series. Round one of the playoffs is out of the way, and now it's time for us to go into round number two, where we've got 8 drivers still in the playoffs, racing to see who will get the championship for this season of the Twigi iRacing series. The first race of this round is going to be at Michigan for that of 63 laps here tonight. Got a couple of newcomers showing up to be racing with these guys, as half the league has seemed to be departed or have decided to quit out of it because we're into the playoffs and they're not racing for much, because it seems to be either wreck that Watchhorn or watch Watchhorn get a win for himself. As tonight we are on the Blitz Racing Network. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Matt Dyer, as we get ourselves prepared with 13 drivers expected to run, as we get to take a look here at our results from qualifying. Drivers are lined up. As you can see, the trucks getting gridded up. So let's take a look at them. Getting the pole award is going to be the 73 of Mike Aleo Jr., one of the newcomers for this season. Eric Watchhorn is going to be in second, with that of Brian Matthews going to be in third. John Buwalda Jr. going to be in fourth. Fifth is going to be that of John Lynch. Elliot Drummond in sixth place. Another newcomer of that Mauricio Million going to be in seventh. Douglas Carlson in eighth. Patrick Hernandez going to be in ninth. 10th is Dennis Crosby. 11th is that of Brendan Gregg, with Jacob Elkins going to be here. 12 drivers expected here tonight, as the 13th was supposed to be that of Brendan Carroll, but Carroll looks to be starting from pit road. As we are getting ourselves set up, those drivers we talked about, there are 8 that made it through. We started with 10 for the playoffs. We've already ran 3 playoff races. It was Dover, Homestead, and Las Vegas. And out of those 3 races, we had 3 different winners. Merrick winning at Dover, locking himself into this round of 8. Then at Homestead, we got to see that of Elliot Drummond winning, and then we also got Jacob Elkins getting his first win of the season last week at Las Vegas. 8 drivers that made it through, going to be that of Eric Watchhorn, Elliot Drummond, and also going to be seeing that of Jacob Elkins after their wins. John Lynch going to be in that of fourth driver to make it through, there. With Douglas Carlson, Brendan Gregg, and Patrick Hernandez going to be the 7 drivers that are still racing, with the 8th going to be Ryan Mitchell, who quit out of the league, and now you have it all set up, lined up, and ready to go, as these drivers have 63 laps to figure out who's going to go to victory lane, and we are green, as 11 drivers are going to be able to take the green from here, as we're going to be missing out potentially, as some drivers blinking in and out, but it's up front. It's going to be Mike Aleo Jr. side by side with Merrick Watchhorn as they go through 1 and 2. Matt, Michigan, a wide track, and we're already seeing all the different lanes being utilized. Contact going to be for the lead. Talked about it. It's either Watchhorn's going to win or he's going to have to be taken out, and already body slams. Going to be Michael Leo Jr. ducking it down low, out of the way, as Merrick Watchhorn going to be sent all the way back to 4th.
Yeah, with how wide Michigan is, it's essentially a super speedway for these trucks. You're going to be on the throttle all the time until really your last few laps of the run. You're going to be on the throttle the whole time. So it's going to be real super tight pack racing, even tighter than what we were at last week at Vegas.
Vegas was crazy to see the amount of contact and carnage, and it was a 4-car battle to see who's going to get to victory lane. It was the 9 of Elkins that got it done, but currently on screen, we're seeing that of 11 drivers all still attached to this pack, 10, as Michael Leo Jr. has lost touch to this lead group, and that of Brian Matthews, going to be starting on pit road, and he's already looking to be going a lap down potentially, but they're getting frisky up front. It's going to be seeing that of, on the high side, the 44 Mauricio Million, 3 wide for second, as here comes the hard charge for John Lynch.
Taking it from the top to the bottom, almost like Dale Jr. did it at Daytona a couple times, but that was wild.
Hey, sometimes you got to learn from your physics classes. Use that momentum, that inertia from using gravity high to low and throwing it down, as we're 3 wide for second place, and it's going to be Patrick Hernandez in the lead. And Matt, we got to see that Jacob Elkins get his first win of the season. Tonight, we could be seeing another first-time winner with these drivers being so close, and this hectic driving, the first 3 coming to 4 laps of this race.
Yeah, I think these bigger tracks where everyone is really just on the throttle the whole time, it allows people who maybe don't have quite, the technical skill in, the harder tracks to, for them to jump out, up front and, take advantage of it.
Talked about maybe Michael Leo Jr. losing touch to the draft, but two drivers backing off. That's going to be Elliott Drummond and Dennis Crosby. Going to be already losing a little bit of touch to the lead group, but giving the toe to the 74. But up front, it's going to be 8 drivers all still attached, and it's going to be slicing and dicing. Where do you want to go? And on screen, going to be seeing that Merrick Watchorn already up to second, as John Lynch going to be in that of third. Side by side, going to be that of Buwalda on the 5 on the high side, and last week's winner, Jacob Elkins, on the low end.
The one thing I'm really going to look to is, with how much on throttle time it is, who is really just going to be able to, save a little bit, to maybe go a little bit longer than some of the other people. But it's going to be interesting to see how many of the people also, pit together and use that draft to really push themselves and maybe even separate themselves from the pack.
Yeah, team aspect, always something to watch out for. The biggest team coming into tonight is going to be that of Watchorn eMotorsports. Patrick Hernandez with that of Maurice Gomillion, Douglas Carlson, and Merrick Watchorn all in a group. And having that large of a team is giving you such an advantage over the rest of the field, because you can come in and utilize that draft once you try to break away from everyone else. But Matt, for these drivers, only 4 sets of extra tires in pit road, and you've got 1 fast repair. So these drivers still got a little bit of working and wiggle room, but only for 63 laps. This race could look to be a 2 to a 3 stop race.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty close on either one. If you're out front, you're probably going to be burning more than what you want. So it's just one of those things where you gotta look out for it. But you don't want to push yourself too hard.
Saved a little bit early in the early goings, and now going to be up front. It's Jacob Elkins in the 9. Patrick Hernandez, who's been leading the majority of this race after the contact between that Michael Leo Jr. and Watchorn. And going to be falling back are both of those drivers just sitting in wait, as up front it's going to be our front 3, Patrick Hernandez, Jacob Elkins, John Buwalda Jr. I mean, these are 3 drivers. Before last week, you always questioned, would they have an opportunity to go to victory lane? And Elkins was showing the most promise, got it done at Las Vegas. Now also, eyes got to be lying on the 90 machine of John Lynch, who's going to be trying to get that win to lock himself into the next round.
Yeah, and another thing that a lot of these guys can do is they can leapfrog. They can use the draft to get past someone. And if you can work with someone, you can actually make up a lot of ground by leapfrogging each straightaway or each lap, and you could pull out through a gap or even close on someone.
Right now, drivers that have been doing the best job at that, gotta say, Jacob Elkins has been looking quite good. But just still simmering in the middle is going to be that of Vallejo and Watchorn, who made that contact on lap 1, coming out of the exit of turn 2. As we're going to be 9 laps in, and already eyes up front. Where will you place yourself, as 2 drivers have lost touch to this lead draft? That is going to be the 22 of Dennis Crosby and the 24 of Matthews, who's going to be simmering at that of 7.5 seconds back from our leader. And talking about how important the draft is, the 24 all on his lonesome, running a full second slower than us, this lead pack right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just what I said earlier. Is you kind of have to have people to work with to be able to keep up with the with the group. Otherwise you'll just caught out.
As they're in line, staying in suit. I mean, Matt, Michigan, so many different lanes to be utilized, but it always seems like there's only about 2 to 3 that look capable of keeping up with decent speed, as everywhere else seems to be kind of not the fastest place, or just not traditionally used.
Yeah, you do not want to go all the way to the bottom and just put your left sides on that yellow. That will just make your car just a little bit too tight, and you'll wear your tires a little bit more. You kind of want to put your ideal line for, even for qualifying, you want to put your left sides on that.
Oh no, sorry to cut you off. Drivers further on back gonna have issues. Yellow's gonna be thrown, and it's the 2 machine getting involved with a wreck. And I believe it was Merrick Watchorn once again caught up in another issue.
Just unfortunate.
As we take another look at this, already going to be seeing if Merrick Watchorn have to use his fast repair. And Matt, I mean, this just seems to be a lack of awareness for the drivers on where they're at.
Yeah, it looks like Merrick maybe was trying to slide draft, Elliott, a little bit, but I think he was more concerned about what was on the outside. But it's just unfortunate.
It was just a bizarre wreck to be seen. And Merrick Watchorn over the radio taking complete responsibility of that incident. Well, gonna be that of 11 laps in, first yellow, and that is what brings out this first caution of the day. And Matt, so far, 12 laps in, technically, if these drivers wanted to, they could come into pit road and use that first set if they feel like it's time. Now the question looms, who's gonna take that risk of taking the extra set now?
I think you kind of want to, if um, I think it's close enough to where the tires have worn enough to where you will be safe to take a set. So I expect everyone, so exactly like what I said. So once you come down, like once you see the leader comes down, you almost kind of have to, especially at this track. With you need the fresh tires, to keep your minimum speed in the middle of the corner higher than everybody else. So I think it's a good call from everyone.
That's going to be one set down, leaving them with three for the rest of this race. As well as going to be able to top off on fuel for everyone out here on track. And the big thing that helps these drivers has got to be the 24, going to be that of Brian Matthews, as well as the 22 of Crosby, going to reset and allow both those drivers to get back attached to the lead pack on this restart. As some repairs going to be placed in, but immediately going to be seen that Brennan Gregg use a fast repair, and as well Merrick Watchorn. Their safety nets are gone for the next 50 laps.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to use it too early, but it's just unfortunate that he's had two things. But with the skill of Merrick has, I think he should be able to keep his truck decently clean from here on out.
Well, that's the one thing I'm kind of curious, Matt, on for Merrick Watchorn. This has now become a trend. He is the most winningest driver in this series with number 10 with 10 wins, trying to go for number 11 potentially here tonight. But heading into the playoffs, Merrick was just dominating time after time. But these last 2 weeks, he's been put through the blender, and you can now count 3 weeks with tonight's issues that he's having. And now we're going to be reset, fresh tires, and we could be seeing aggressive bouncing and bumbling around again.
Yeah, I think it's just unfortunate. I think it's really just come down to the nature of the two tracks the last 2 weeks. Vegas and Michigan, even though they're kind of like bigger tracks, in reality they're actually quite narrow, especially at the speed you're going. So, I mean, it is kind of the nature of the tracks, but it is just unfortunate that he's had his issues.
As for Merrick Watchorn, talked about the fact that we are in the playoffs. We've got 3 races that these drivers are going to be having to figure out how to tackle. But Matt, there's really only one spot that the 7 drivers that are racing in the playoffs currently have to worry about. One will be eliminated at the end of these 3 weeks, and that's the one thing that I'm curious on, how well will they run, as we got Michigan here tonight, head to the Roval next week, and then finish out this round of 8 going to Bristol before we cut it down to just 6 drivers to race it out for the final 4 races of the season. There's some pressure on making sure that you've got a good night for yourself of not causing any issues, but with some other drivers, they're already finding major issues for themselves. I mean, you look at the board, Brandon Gregg now going to be in a troublesome spot on how he's going to be tackling this race. Now with Watchmore not having the fast repair, both those drivers got to hope that they don't have a bad race here tonight.
Yeah, the thing you just really just got to do is just make sure you try to keep it clean as much as possible. But sometimes it's just you find your spot in difficult spots, so it's pretty hard.
Well, pace truck is off. It's time to go back to green flag racing. It's less than 50 laps to go here tonight. Only 63 laps in total. And already going to be drivers further on back having their problems of trying to get through the gears. But over the radio, Jacob Elkins, the new restart zone rule, has now bit one of our front runners. Elkins has gotten a penalty for jumping the start.
It is a relatively new thing on iRacing, so it is a a huge learning curve to know like when to go, like when not to go. But
Ooh.
it's just
And,
unfortunate.
and Elkins locked into debating and fighting that penalty. And instead of just being deemed with the penalty and having to go through the hold or drive through penalties that you're given for that, Elkins said, hey, I feel like I didn't, jump the start. And instead, he is actually going to get that black flag cleared, and he'll continue to be able to race up front. The penalty wiped off the map.
That is very very fortunate because if you have to do drive through, you're going to lose the draft and potentially go a lap down with how much faster everyone is inside the draft.
As up front, it's going to be that of Lynch. Now going to be seen side by side of Hernandez, Elkins, Watchhorn, Bawalda, and then Douglas Carlson on the outer lane in that second row. Further on back, the 86 driver, I'm curious on how well he's going to be running, as he's going to have the 5 of John Bawalda Jr. to his side by side. 3 rows deep. We keep it 2 by 2 by 2. And it's going to be that of John Lynch out of turn number 2. Feeling comfortable for the 90 machine, but it's feeling like super speedway racing. Which line is going to get the most assistance? It's the outer one that looks a lot more preferred with the teammates.
Absolutely, and don't forget, Douglas Carlson also got married last week.
And again, congratulations to that 86 machine, as he almost found himself with the top 3 finish. It was looking like a good run for himself in the early portions of last week at Las Vegas, but here tonight, trying to get a little bit more lucky, potentially here with Michigan being as wide as it is, and how full throttle, like we've been talking about here tonight. It's 86 machine now in a position for a fabulous finish for himself if we stay green. But I think the big factor, Matt, as long as we don't have yellows come out, it's going to be those green flag pit stops that could change everything.
Absolutely, again, if it comes down to green flag pick stops, you really want to pit with other people so you can utilize the draft and maybe go. And also, you do not want to be the first one. You want to wait till someone else goes in, and you want the majority of people to go with you because you do not want to have just like ones or twos, and then because you will lose the draft if the whole group then pits with the together the next lap or the lap after.
And closing in on this lead pack and trying to still keep in the draft. It's going to be a couple of newcomers all in line. That's going to be starting in 7th place at 22. Brian Matthews going to be the driver there. His battle for the lead. Closing in, Eric Watchhorn getting some great assistance from Patrick Hernandez. But it's looking like Hernandez wants to make sure himself and the 91 are pulling away from the rest of the field as Douglas Carlson uses that back bumper of the 19 as an anchor point to pull that rest of the field along.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like super speedways of old in real life where it was a lot of tandem racing. If you can get with someone and oh no, Douglas Carlson.
Carlson go off the nose of the 9 machine, one bad bump and spin him around as there goes the 86. Luckily the engine looks to be still running, so he'll be able to get back to pit road. And drivers not happy with the way that ran through. And as we get ready to look at this replay, Matt was listening over with the driver chat. Seems like a lot of disputing on how this interaction went down. It seemed like Douglas Carlson was thinking that they were just going to stay in line and work with one another, and that's why he came back up. Elkins was in a complete different mindset of trying to make the pass. And with 2 different mindsets of I think that you're helping me and I'm getting past you, and that's why the collision came through. as that is going to be our second caution of the day on lap 21 of 63. We're now going to be officially in the 1/3 marker of this race. Still going to be seeing us with 43 laps to go. And Matt, drivers into pit road once again. I mean, they only got to run just out of 5 laps of green flag racing. Curious to see what's going to happen here.
I think at the moment, I think a lot of people are just going to come in and really just top off. Um, just kind of put yourself in like a much better fuel situation, but or at least maybe take two. But I think a lot of people are just going to take fuel.
Already going to be seeing a couple of drivers take fuel only. 2 drivers, though, decided to stay out. That's John Buwalda Jr. and Mike Aleo Jr. Jr. is deciding let's not go to pit road. Let's stick to our guns and stay out. Few drivers did take tires, and that's going to be Brian Matthews as well. Dennis Crosby, Jacob Elkins, both going to be getting service done for themselves. And for Douglas Carlson, he will not be deciding to use that fast repair. Actually going to try to manually repair that 86 in pit road.
No, that's an interesting call. Like we'll see, like how how a car runs, as this goes on. So just as long as he didn't have any required, he should be able to get out there. And with how long these pace laps are, he should be able to get it all done before we go green.
Those drivers in, ready to get ripping and rolling. It's going to be up front. The 2 drivers that did not come into pit road, that's going to be John Buwalda Jr., Michael Leo Jr. are going to be those front 2. Merrick Watchworth, Patrick Hernandez going to be in that second row with John Lynch, Jacob Elkins, Maurice Gomillion, as well as going to be seeing that Brennan Gregg all decided to top off on fuel. That's 3rd all the way down to 8th. Just taking fuel only, and then taking tires, going to be that of Brian Matthews, as well as Dennis Crosby and Elliot Drummond, and Douglas Carlson being involved with that second caution here tonight. He'll be all the way back in 12th. We'll see how the 86 can run with the aero and cosmetic damage that was taken on during that yellow. I mean, Matt, different strategies already being shown here. We got 3 of them. We got a group that's already used 2 sets of tires in the first 20 laps of this race. Another that's just going for a fuel strategy run. And then 2 that are going to be on older tires and also a little bit less fuel than the rest of the field. This is going to get very interesting quickly here if we don't get a quick caution in the next about 5 to 10 laps.
Yeah, I think this would be our first look at how the different tires are going to go, because I want to say there was a couple that got 2 right sides, and so we have old tires versus some mixed and some new tires. So this will give everyone a look at how much better pressure tires are going to be. So I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing how this run pans out.
Who will survive? Who's going to make it to the end? We are already 1/3 into tonight's race at Michigan for the Twigi iRacing Series. This is playoff racing action, round number 2. 8 drivers are left in the playoffs, and we got 2 more races to go in this round, as it's going to be John Buwalda Jr. taking off as he's out of a cannon. Already going to be seeing a little bit of a gap for himself, but at a track like this, Matt, that is a bad showing of how to go on a restart.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, but like you want to try to get yourself out there as soon as you can, or you really try to take advantage of it as best you can. But if you see John Lynch is going down to the bottom and 3 wide into 3.
Also going to be seeing that of Michael Leo Jr. through the middle. The 24 are able to take the lead for now. Here comes that of John Lynch, but the fresh tires already emerging. It's the 24 of Brian Matthews going to be trying to make the surge. He's going to be the 4th car on the inside. I mean, it's going to be now the 2nd car on the inside. That 24 is trying to make some big moves, but also going to be seeing how well the rest of the drivers can hold on. And really, the fresh rubber, only about that of 3 to 4 green flag lap advantage going to be on the 24 compared to those of our leaders right now. As that of Merrick Watchorn doing his best. Take the
Oh,
lead in
no.
contact. Well, Mike is out. Didn't care. He got wrecked, and he's done out of this thing. John Buwalda Jr. has to take a tow. His engine is blown. And from that of 13 initially thought, down to just that of 12 when we hit the grid. And now we're down to just 11 that could potentially be on track. Actually, let's take that to 10 as Buwalda Jr. going to be in pit road taking the tow. And here's what happened, Matt.
Yeah, it looks like, Buwalda just got a little bit tight in the center of the corner, and it just got up and has gotten into the left rear of Mike, and it's just so easy to turn someone. It's as soon as you just get into someone just a little bit, it's just unfortunate.
I'll be honest, that gave me some terrible flashbacks of me running officials earlier today. Being being hit like that, it is such a helpless feeling when you're on the outside. You know someone's closing in, and you're trusting that they're going to hold their lane, and they don't, and they come up, clip you, spin you around. I hate to see those types of contacts, but it's kind of bound to happen at some point of someone drifting up. And for that of John Buwalda Jr., got to remember he was on those older tires, and both himself and Michael Jr. Their strategy of staying out backfires, as now both of them will be most likely out of this thing. We know for sure the 74 has already quit out. He will not be returning for the rest of the night. The 5, questionable on when they'll return, and hoping that John Buwalda Jr. clicked on his fast repair for the tow, because if he doesn't, he'll have to sit in pit road until the required damage of his blown engine gets fixed. As coming in this lap, topping off, is going to be Elliott Drummond, which in theory, Matt, is a great idea. If we were at a different track, Top Off had the advantage of staying out a little bit longer than everyone else, but a track like this, being the only driver to top off on fuel isn't always the best strategy.
The one thing though that with like super speedway with the super speedway races is if you have more fuel, you kind of bring down the rear of your car a little bit, so your spoiler is not as much in the airs, but you can be a little bit quicker, inside the draft. So that's maybe one reason, but with how many laps are there, I think with almost halfway, you could maybe potentially have a better advantage, but again, it I think it's just a tough call to make.
On this restart, we'll have 10 drivers on track. Going to be starting things off with that of Merrick Watchorn up front. His teammate of Patrick Hernandez is going to be in second. Then you've got last week's winner of Jacob Elkins going to be in fourth. John Lynchkins is going to be to his side for third. Then we're also going to be actually a little bit of a swap up. The 24 is going to be in that third place position. Brian Matthews. And Matthews seems to be playing a little bit of do-si-do as they finally all get in line. And back out on track. Did have the fast repair collect as John Buwalda Jr. will be up to 11 on this restart now.
Yeah, I'm like he'll only be 2 laps down. So if we get a couple of quick cautions, and he's really the only car lap down. So with any caution, he'll get the wave around it, get his last back.
But for him to get that wave around, he also has to make sure he is not involved with the wreck that could bring out the yellow. So that will be in the back of the mind for this 5. As we are getting ready to take off 28 laps into this race. We've had 3 yellows and our first DNF of the night. It's going to be Michael Jr., who, for the 74, Matt, actually still had its fast repair. He was just so mad that he was caught up in that wreck. He's out.
Yeah, I think, remember he was, involved with Merrick on lap 1, had to drop to the back, lost the draft, and then I think it was just a roller coaster of things just going on. So it's just unfortunate. It is a part of racing, when you get frustrated, but like sometimes you just got to keep your emotions under control.
And now for these drivers, we'll see how many more can make it to the end, or will we see more cautions blooming as we are at the start of that of lap 29. Gonna be 35 laps to go as we are green for Merrick Watchorn. He'll be taking that outside and Try and take us to the lead and into turn one. Going to be having a decent gap, but watch out behind. Again, the fresher tires are with the 24 and the 22. Question is, how will they utilize that fresh rubber? Try to tackle and make some great passes. And it looks like for the 24, fresh rubber, it means for him in his mind, go all the way down to that yellow line.
Yeah, it's where you can get, some passing done, because everyone's going to run, that second to third, but then also the fourth lane. So if you can keep your speed up and pass people and really just keep your momentum, you're going to be passing a lot of cars.
As in line, it's going to be seeing the 91, 19, and the 90 all just picking and choosing as here comes Jit Lynch on the inside. Got a decent run. I think the 90 might have been expected a little bit more speed as he dives into turn one. Going to have to settle, but will he be able to get in line? It looks like he won't. He'll have to settle back into fourth place for the 90 machine as the draft too strong on the outside on the backstretch.
Yeah, like once you are running that second and third line, you can really just control that outside. So, with Merrick and Hernandez really just controlling this race. So that's really just where you want to be.
And as you see on the trucks, drivers with the green splitter, spoiler, and also the banner that's above the windshield. All the green indicates that that driver is in the playoffs. So for all those drivers that are in the green, they are looking to find themselves into victory lane. If they do, they are automatically locked into the round of 6, and the pressure is off for the Roval and Bristol that are the next 2 races coming up. And Matt, I gotta say, for Elliott Drummond, he's probably my favorite to watch out for going into next week at the Roval. He found himself into victory lane at the Glen and has been strong at the road courses. Everyone else, though, tonight's the night. It's the wild card, real true wild card race of this round. If you're going to get a win, this could be the race to get it done. And that's why we're seeing so much pressure from the 9 and the 19 on Merrick Watchorn.
Yeah, because once you get to, the road courses, it's almost the easiest pick is going to be Elliott Drummond, because you do not want to wait until Bristol to try to win your way in. So 'cause it's just a tough track, and it's almost guaranteed to be trouble.
As drivers are all in line, our top 10 all still connected, and they keep it all straight. And for Merrick Watchorn, we've already seen him be caught up in the wall, as well as Jacob Elkins and that of Brendan Gregg. Those 3 drivers got to make sure that they don't get involved with any other wrecks, but the rest of the field, really, I mean, if you think about it, I know you don't want to race like this, as it's kind of known for being dirty, but that just means you've got a little bit of a weapon in your back pocket if you feel like, you know what, I don't like the fact that Merrick Watchorn's been dominating so much. Maybe I'll put him in the wall or brush him up, and if I get damaged, at least I've got a fast repair to get my machine back up to full speed.
Yes, it is a little bit dirty. I mean, not a little bit. It is a lot dirty, but sometimes when it comes to playoff time and you really want to win, sometimes you got to take your gloves off. But it's one of those things where you don't want to put anyone in that situation.
It's a very dirty call. It is unwarranted, but when you have a driver that's so dominant like Merrick, I wouldn't be surprised. It's playoff racing time. Sometimes you're going to find ways to get your competition out of the way if you feel like you cannot beat them by raw pace, as everyone still stays in line. Lap 35 in. We got ourselves that of 29 laps to go. We're past halfway, and it's still Merrick Watchorn up front. Patrick Hernandez searching for a little bit of a different spot to run. That clean air, Matt, seems like a couple of drivers searching a little bit higher to find the clean air.
Yeah, if you're like Hernandez and you're just kind of just riding directly behind Merrick, as you see him start to go a little bit higher. But one thing you do not want to do is you don't want to be directly past someone in that dirty air, because you're just going to screw up your tires a little bit more and just kind of wear them out. Because if you're Merrick, you even though you're burning the most fuel, you're getting the most clean air, and you could really just take care of your tires the best. And maybe Hernandez is running a little bit higher to prevent Jacob from getting that run on the outside to get to his outside and get him stuck on the bottom. But you know, maybe a little bit of gamemanship with the teammates so you control both lines. But it's just one of those things.
Jacob Elkins throws it down, wants to break up the teammates in the 9. Got to see some of this great side-by-side racing last week at Las Vegas. Well, let's bring it on over to Michigan. But the straightaways, you need help. And luckily for Elkins, the rest of the field says, I will give you a little bit of assistance. See a 9 as Hernandez and Watchhorn get nothing really in their back wings trying to help them out. And it's going to be still the 91 and the 19 holding strong as we are technically 15 laps into this stint on these tires for these drivers and starting to show the wear and tear of if you haven't protected the tires at all, you're struggling to make any passes, let alone how hard the dirty air is at this moment to make any moves.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that the people who maybe got a little bit fresher tires, the last caution, or even before the lap before that, that they haven't really taken advantage of it, or maybe just with how scrubbed off your tires are going to be with running inside the draft. Maybe it's more beneficial to be out front, so to not scrub your tires as much.
Well, talking about scrubbing off the tires, I know the 24 did that quite a bit. I mean, he was running all the way down on the yellow line for about 6 laps, trying to just search and lurk for any type of fresh, air on as well, spacing to make passes, and really stalled out in 5th. It's Dennis Crosby that I'm the most curious about, mainly because the 22 has been just sitting on the high line periodically and just picking and choosing on where he wants to go, but seems like we've hit the marker of drivers feeling like it's time to get a little bit more racy as they're getting more and more side-by-side action.
Oh yeah, especially with with the pit stops getting ever so closer. This is going to be one of those things where you're trying to maybe get yourself up a little bit closer to the front, make your pit stop, and potentially leapfrog people if it's close enough to where you can make up some ground.
Well, watch out. Talked about Dennis Crosby, one of my drivers to watch out for. Well, he is getting squirrely right next to that of the 29 of Elliott Drummond. Now, got to remember, Drummond did top off on fuel on the last caution. Well, no one else did. And the 29 could go about 5 laps longer than everyone else if he felt like he really needed to. Most likely he'll come in pit road with the group, but this side-by-side action and with how close we're seeing some of these drivers, I'm getting a little nervous, especially on the wrecks that we've seen that have brought out yellows. It's been drivers side-by-side and the lack of awareness and a lot of push from these trucks that's allowing them to make contact.
Yeah, it's really just the nature of the track, because I don't think there's any any progressive banking, but it feels like it with how much more grip you have on the outside.
Outside lane just feels a little bit nicer as we're watching that of Elliott Drummond trying to close in. Highest he's been is 5th. He runs 6th currently, qualified 6th as well. He's fallen all the way back to last place. And for this 29, he always seems to have that type of roller coaster type of a night where he has the big highs and the worst lows. At the end of the night, we never truly know what we're going to get from that of Drummond.
Yeah, do you actually he's almost kind of reminds me of how Kevin Harvick is. You're not sure really where he is most of the race, but once it comes down to the end of the race, he's always up there near the front.
It's usually if he's not at front, it's because of a mistake on pit road in the middle of the race at some point that has stalled him out. As the movement starting to move on, and for that last lap out of 4, I was getting kind of nervous of the fact that the 24, Brian Matthews, was the driver that really was getting close to the rear bumper of the 29. And watch out for the slide job move. And just like that, the pass is made for Drummond. It looks like for Crosby, he's going to try to figure out how to make the pass made. But with all the wiggling, here comes the 24 now.
Yeah, that kind of we're really slowed up, 22, but sometimes that's kind of what you have to do to make a pass. You do not want to give up that outside line, because that seems to be the preferred line.
And also you saw for a little bit of a glimpse there, the 9 of Jacob Elkins got very close to the outside wall, almost brushing it for a quick moment. And the 9 just no longer looks comfortable in that lead group as we're 21 laps still to go here tonight. Coming to 20 to go. The closer these drivers are to thinking about pit stops. Matt, I mean, based off of the tires that these drivers were given and how many times we usually see pit stops for these races, I would say we're close to about 5 to 6 laps when I'm expecting some of these drivers to make their final pit stop.
Yeah, we're right in the pit window, um, for really for people to make it to the end. So I think really now it's just waiting for someone to make that call so you can go with them and utilize the track.
When you come in, who's your friend, who's your ally, who is your enemy that might not allow you to come into pit road? If you're stuck on the high side, you are going nowhere. As Merrick Watchhorn, Patrick Hernandez, still your front two, side by side is going to be John Lynch, as well as going to be seeing that of Jacob Elkins. That 9 on the outer groove. Start to also see Elliott Drummond. Adam Matthews going to be moving up as Dennis Crosby not feeling the most comfortable and almost dumping into Greg.
Yeah, like one thing I am going to look for, because I believe the 90, the 29, and the 24 are all teammates. So I'm going to be interested to see if they all come together, or can they even get Elkins to go with them too, and utilize 4 versus the 2 up front, and can make ground, as we see the 90, the 29, and the 24 all working together right now.
All trying to figure out, how do we get in line, or do we make the pass? That of Elkins is gonna be stuck. Oh boy! Loose, holds on, keep it straight, but I don't know how he did. And back in line and somehow doesn't lose the draft is the 90 machine.
What an absolute save. That was on the verge of, especially when you lose it in front of 2 people. Thankfully, Elliott saw what was, as we see John going in the pits now, but that was a wild ride.
Goes into the pits, and he's not going to have any draft help. Lone survivor into pit road, but like we talked about, this is around the window of being able to make it to the end. And with the fact that our lead pack is running at 41.2 second times, that's what our leader put on that last lap. I believe by yourself, you could still run faster than our leaders right now, as John Lynch, you talked about waiting for that first driver to hit pit road. Well, the radio chatter is massive. Everyone making the call. We're coming into pit road.
And now it's going to be interesting to see, maybe, how, as we see, Elliott and Greg staying out, maybe, go a little bit longer. But it's going to be interesting.
And now we're seeing the majority of this field come into pit road. Lynch is honestly in that spot of, can he get rolling fast enough to make sure that he's still with either the 2 drivers that are still out on track, or that he can catch up to the tail end of this huge pack that came into pit road. But Matt, there's positives and negatives when you have that of 8 drivers all coming to pit road at the same time. I mean, if there's not enough space, they could be losing time just based off of entry, let alone everyone exiting pit road now.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. We see, John now has the momentum and should be able to pass everyone as they coming off the pit road. But with getting the fresher tires, he's leapfrogged himself to be almost where he was. I think he was running 5th or 6th in line before pit stops. Now he's put himself into 2nd, running in that lead group.
And he split up that of being Watchhorn and Hernandez. That's the most important thing for this 90 machine. As you see on screen, exiting pit road, going to be Elliott Drummond and Brandon Gregg. They stayed out for an extra lap over Merrick Watchhorn and the rest of the crew, and they've already been passed. And now the battle for the lead is on with Lynch, Watchhorn side by side, and as Hernandez has got to pick and choose where he wants to go, and looks like he'll stay with the 90 machine for now as he ducks down to get in the tailpipes of the 91.
Yeah, the joys of green flag pit stops is it spreads everyone out, and now we have really just a 5-car breakaway. And We to see the gap all the way back because we have a 5 gap, a 4-car breakaway. Now it becomes, who are you willing to work with? We have the 90, the 24, and the 9 who are not teammates with the front two. So it's gonna be interesting. Like, do they, do those three work together to get past these two?
It's going to be the tough question. And also, you got to make sure that you don't just throw this race away. You've got fresh grip, but don't make too much contact as the 9 almost comes up into the 90. And you look at this lead pack, these top 5, 2 of them have already used their fast repair, that being Jacob Elkins and Merrick Watchorn. And it's Elkins that's getting very risky at some of these moves as he finally settles behind into 5th place. As here comes John Lynch trying to break up Hernandez and the crew, and that shuffle really throws everyone off. They'll try to get back in line, and for Merrick Watchorn, he's now a sitting duck with this run that's coming.
Yeah, but I think if you're him, I think you're kind of glad that you have your teammate Hernandez, directly behind you, and it's not going to allow anyone to, make that jump to get past him. So as long as Hernandez is directly behind him, I don't think Hernandez is going to make a move until the last lap.
And as they continue to race on, the drivers that had lost touch in 6th and 7th, it's going to be Elliott Drummond, Brandon Gregg, Dennis Crosby, as well as John Buwalda Jr., who's 2 laps down at this moment. Hoping, though, the 4 of them can get in line and try to catch up to our leaders, but they're not battling. They're in line. And so it's basically just going to be a 5-car shootout with 12 laps to go unless the yellow strikes.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're Merrick, you're kind of glad, that it's such a small group, but you're really hoping that Hernandez stays with you. Both of you can really try to get a 1-2, but I think it's going to be pretty hard because we've all seen, John Lynch all season be really aggressive, and also, as well as Jay Elkins, be really aggressive, like, with their movement.
And you look at, that of Patrick Hernandez, he's been the second fiddle so many times this season. I mean, he comes into this season with 4 second-place finishes. Would he be willing to finish in second place again behind Merrick Watchorn? And that is going to be the big question with 10 laps to go here at Michigan. We've had a total of 3 cautions, and those 3 cautions really did help kind of resettle a lot of these drivers, but the green flag pit stops what broke them up, and now it's down to the last dash. Merrick Watchorn, Patrick Hernandez, when they've been in line, and it's been into these later runs, they have been the drivers that have been able to hold off every single newcomer, as no one else has really been able to use teamwork to beat these 2.
I mean, that's really just the name of the game at super speedway racing. It's, as we see, Lynch and Mathis, like, starting to fall off here a little bit, but it's really just gonna be interesting as we have 9 laps to go. Who, we know Elkins is going to try to put Hernandez in a bad spot where he can force him to maybe make a move and take advantage of.
I'm also curious on the fact of Lynch and Matthews, which one of the are they saving their tires by backing off, or are they truly lost all the grip and they're struggling right now because they have now given up that of 4/10 to that of Jacob Elkins, who's in 3rd. Again, Elkins is trying to keep pace with these front runners, but Hernandez has got to be careful because he could easily give one bad push to his teammate and throw Merrick Watchorn into that outside wall, or completely get him loose and lose the draft by drifting on the apron.
Yeah, I think really all the cards right now are in Jacob Elkins' hands. He can determine, if he makes them work a little bit harder, or does he maybe put Hernandez in a tough spot where Hernandez feels like he has to make a move.
Well, rule 1 of super speedway racing is don't push the pusher. But if you're trying to beat them, might be the way to get it done, as here comes the surge. Gonna be from Jacob Elkins, throwing it to the inside, hoping he can make this slide job move work, but he's gonna need a little bit of an opening if possible. Maybe he'll go 2 for 1, side by side with that of Merrick Watchorn, drifting up, trying to find the opening and not able to get it done. But Matt, here comes John Lynch and the 24, they're closing it in.
Yeah, like, the more that these front three run side by side, it's going to allow, those two to catch up. So because they're going to make a bigger wake, or really a bigger hole in the wake where they can utilize the draft a little bit more. But if you're Elkins, you kind of want them to be up there so they can help you.
No change in position, but a lot of movement on track that last lap. 6 laps to go here tonight at Michigan. This is round 2 of the playoffs. 8 drivers enter, only 6 will advance after 3 races, and this is the start of those 3. It's going to be here at Michigan, the Roval, and then finishing off this second round will be at Bristol. As here we go, round 2 of Jacob Elkins trying to split up the teammates.
Yeah, if I'm Elkins, maybe run a little bit higher than Hernandez to maybe get a little bit more momentum. But right now, hopefully, get slide into that gap after.
You got to know, if Elkins can split up these front 2, that is going to be a complete wide open battle for Lynch and for no! Jacob Elkins, you saw how aggressive he's been. A little bit of body slam potentially there, as we're going to see that of the 19 no longer a factor. And was hoping for his first win, not going to happen for Hernandez. And now it's going to be Merrick Watchorn, the city duck here tonight. But if anyone could defend 3 drivers behind him, it would be Watchorn.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It looks like maybe he got a little bit too tight, and he was trying to maybe turn the car a little bit more, and it seems like the car just shot off in the corner. Maybe he was expecting maybe a little bit of contact, but like nothing really happened. It looked like maybe the car just got a little bit too tight. Maybe he was trying to force his way to stay in front of Elkins. But it's unfortunate for Hernandez, but everyone else, you're like, thank goodness we broke them up.
Broke them up and they're ready to go over the radio. Hernandez is frustrated, but Jacob Elkins is just going to keep on puttering along here tonight. And now Lynch and that Matthews going to be 2 drivers backing off once again here, Matt. And this time they're backing off way more. And maybe that last dash was their last gasp of air. 3 to go, and they're making the swap.
I mean, maybe, they were just trying to build a gap where they can take advantage of, that draft. If getting a run, towards the end of the race. But it's going to be one of those things where, maybe they are not willing to put themselves into a risky spot, but maybe they're hoping that Elkins and Watcher maybe get into each other just a little bit. But with how many laps we're going, I think the gap is just a little bit too big to be able to jump back up.
2 laps to go here tonight, as the drivers are getting ramped up and ready to get rolling. It went back. There was contact made between the 9 and the 19 on that issue. But, Matt, it's now for nothing. It was just a small little tap, and it launched the 19 up into the outside wall. But for Merrick Watchorn, his buffer, his wall, it is gone. It is now down to the duel. Merrick Watchorn, Jacob Elkins, who's going to get it done? At a turn number 4, it's the white flag here at Michigan. Will it be Watchorn or Elkins getting the ticket to go to the next round? Or could it be a wreck and potentially see that a John Lynch steal this one away?
If you're Elkins, you want to hope that Jeff will pull you up to maybe use the slide job going into 3 and 4, but it's going to be tough with the gap that remains.
It's 3/10. It's going to be a dad bomb move by the 9 and maybe even a body slam if potential, but he's just not close enough. Merrick Watchorn through 3 and 4, a huge gap and a berth to the next round. It can take it easy as we go to the Roval next week. Watchorn wins for race number 11 of the season for the 91.
This is just an absolute, really just dominant performance from Watchorn. I mean, wow. I mean, with how his race started, you really have to be happy with how it finished.
This is race, man. I mean, Watchorn, he lost the safety net early on, and it just didn't matter after that. Of course, so much of the 91 has been just true dominance all season long, and with win number 11, it was looking like potentially maybe he wasn't going to get that 11th win with these last 2 weeks and the way that this race started, but it did come, and now he's locked into the round of 6 to still go for a championship.
Yeah, it really kind of puts yourself in a good spot because you never know what's going to happen, at a road course because there is really no cautions. And like you mess up there, you go to the bottom of the grid. But really, just fantastic job. Now it really just puts pressure on Evan.
Well, the 91 gets to burn it down. Merrick Watchorn, he is going to get that second place position, had contact with himself and a Michael Leo Jr. on lap 1. And then after that, he slowly worked his way up to the lead, got it, had his teammate of Hernandez behind him, dominating, protecting, and it was late contact. You thought maybe there was a nick on that shield for the 91, but it held, and he gets the win. Congratulations to Merrick Watchorn as we get to also take a look here at our unofficial results of the night. The 91 gets it done for himself, as well as going to be seeing that of Jacob Elkins in second. Third is going to be John Lynch. Fourth, it's going to be newcomer Brian Mathis, as well as going to be seeing Elliot Drummond. Brandon Gray going to finish out your top 6. Then in 7th is going to be Dennis Crosby, as well as Douglas Carlson in that of 8th position. Patrick Hernandez from 2nd back to 9th to finish out this race. Maurice Million going to get 10th. With that of John Bawalda Jr., trapped 2 laps down, never could get those laps back, finish at 11th. Michael Leo Jr., after being clobbered by the 5, quit out and was done, as that of Brendan Carroll did not even start the race. As those drivers get set and ready for the next run, it's going to be finding themselves at the Roval. We've got our top 3 up and ready to talk. We'll bring in 3rd place finisher John Lynch to get his thoughts on tonight's race. John, it's Sam up in the booth. Congratulations on top 3 run. But man, it looked like it was tough out there when it got in those late going laps.
Yeah, Patrick hooked up with Merrick, and there's nothing you could do. Yeah, I pitted a lap early, just try to jump Merrick. It nearly worked, and then Patrick and Merrick got connected, and yeah, there's nothing I could do. I had Brian behind me, but yeah, there's just nothing we could do from 4th and 5th. But yeah, it was netcode between the 9 and Patrick there, and Patrick getting screwed over for like the 50th time this season, and starting to feel bad for the man.
It just seems like every single moment there's a opportunity for anyone to win. He's the one that gets wiped out. But John, we still have 2 more races left in this round. We got the Roval and Bristol. How are you feeling about these next 2 races to find yourself into the next round of the playoffs?
Well, I finished 4th at Watkins Glen. Feeling good about the Roval, so I might be able to get a somewhat of a top 5 there. And Bristol, it's pure luck if you get wiped out or not. So I think if I go in with a decent points margin over the cut line, I think I should be good going into Bristol. But it's all about going into the Roval and doing my best to support a teammate and getting him that win.
We're excited to see how next week will go. But for tonight, before we let you go, John, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank 899, or well, not thank them, but they're on my car for all of September. The suicide and crisis hotline, they changed the number, so I wanted to support that cause. Spino Design, Spino Mowing, Moonlight Speed Labs, or Moonlight Speed, sorry. Who all do I have in my car? Yankee Pie Pizza, RTX Wheels, Siemens and Signworks, and yeah, my teammate Brian, he tried his best to help me out there. He stood behind me and got me this podium, so I want to thank him. And Elliot, just no luck tonight, but triple top 5 for my team, and I'm happy with it.
That's going to be the 90 machine. John, congratulations on this 3rd place finish, and have a good luck next week at the Roval.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
As we go from John in the 90, we go to the 9 of that of Jacob Elkins, who's going to be our 2nd place finisher for himself. Jacob, it's Sam up in the booth. Congratulations on a 2nd place finish. It just seemed like the tires weren't there at the end, but what else could you have potentially have tried to go for the win?
Um, Not really that much. I was just the tires were falling off there, and I just couldn't catch Merrick. Uh, and I'm not really sure if I got damaged from the contact with Patrick there, but that was definitely net code, and I just rewatched it. Um, I feel so bad for taking him out. He was doing so good. Um, but I mean, yeah, the truck felt great up until that point. I had a really, really bad qualify time. Started all the way in the back, but I'm pretty satisfied with where I finished.
I mean, talk about that. Going through the field, it seemed like it was pretty easy going with fresh tires to make all the passes that you want to get up front, but how was it for yourself going through the field?
It's really not that hard. You just got to use your brain. With completely fresh tires and all that drafting air just behind everybody, you get huge runs. You got to throw it down to the bottom of the track and just get in front of everybody.
Well, Jacob, we still got 2 more races in the playoff to go. How are you feeling about heading to the Roval next week, as well as Bristol to finish out this round?
I'm not too sure about the Roval. Personally, I haven't ran one lap there with the truck, so I got to throw some practice laps down there. And Bristol, I enjoy quite a bit. We'll see how it goes.
Well, congratulations on a second place finish here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
My team, Shaw Racing Products, and my teammates, all great guys. And you guys for throwing on the broadcast, and also Merrick for setting the league up and doing everything.
That's going to be the 9 machine of Jacob Elkins. Congratulations on a second place run and good luck heading to the Roval next week.
Thank you, guys.
As from second place, we go to victory lane where we find ourselves with that of the 91. And Merrick Watchorn thought he could never crack over 10 wins. Well, he got number 11 this season here tonight. Congratulations, Merrick. And as well, congratulations to locking yourself into the next round.
Yeah, it's definitely something. After the spider, so I had like the reason why I wrecked is because I actually had a spider crawl down in front of me as I'm like looking at my screen. And it just got in front of me and I freaked out. So I was like, oh God, my team can contest. I started screaming, a little bloody murder. But yeah, no, this Twig machine was on fire all night, and I'm just a little frustrated with the beginning between Mike and I. I literally make an announcement being like, hey, let's take it easy on the first couple of laps and not go too crazy. And Mike pushed all the way up and put me in the wall, and then I kind of was just suffering those couple next laps, and unfortunate, man. But man, it feels good to get back in the winner circle after the couple weeks I've had.
And with that win, you're locked in the next round. So how are you feeling about these next couple of races at the Roval and Bristol?
The Roval at this point, it's a throwaway race for me. I'm not really. I mean, I'm okay at road courses. I can keep the car straight and not spinning around. But being competitive against some of the guys, some of our road ringers in this league, I'm hoping for at least the top 5. Bristol is a short track. So far in this season alone, short tracks have been kind of my forte. It basically won most of my races on most of the short tracks on the schedule. So hopefully we can get a second win this round. If not, hopefully another top 5 or even top 3, just to keep ourselves in the hunt, and move on to round 6, and then of course the final 4, and throw down, and hopefully bring this Twiggy machine home for the championship.
Be an exciting way for it to all go down. Merrick, congratulations on your win here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank the Watch Innovations Group Incorporated. I want to thank Quam Security Alliance, Capture the Occasion, and then a buddy of mine is bringing back his team onto my. I got a 4th sponsorship kind of locked in now. Future Studios Limited. So really cool buddy of mine for the last couple of years. And just want to thank you guys for, of course, giving a great broadcast and showing off the talent in this league. And hopefully we didn't bore y'all too much with the cautions early on, and we gave y'all a decent green flag finish.
That's going to be the 91, and Merrick Watchorn. Congratulations on your win, and good luck heading to the Roval next week.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Matt, a wild race for these drivers here tonight. A lot of yellows in the early going, but then we got that green flag pit stop, split everyone up, and Watchhorn does it again, win number 11 of the season.
Yeah, again, it just came down to like what I said at the beginning of the race. You're going to come down to teamwork and how well can you use the drafting of everyone else. But it's just unfortunate for Hernandez, who drove an absolute amazing race, and really just used the teamwork to a T with Merrick to stay out front. But it's just the nature of racing. It's just unfortunate.
Well, now we're just going to squeeze things a little bit closer going into the Roval next week, as it's going to be really between Douglas Carlson, Patrick Hernandez. They are going to be the two drivers in that one bubble spot to be knocked out of this round. We already know for sure that Ryan Mitchell is going to be the next driver that is out of this round, as he is no longer racing in this series, which then just puts it to 1 of 7. Who will move on to the round of 6? Well, we have to find out with the next 2 races. We got the Roval next week, and then in the week after that, we head to Bristol. But for tonight, thank you for joining us at the Blitz Racing Network. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Matt Dyer, doing a little bit of double duty commentating and as well doing production. Thank you for joining us this evening to watch the Twigi iRacing series. These drivers attacked Michigan, and it was Merrick Watchhorn booking his ticket to the round of 6. Thank you for joining us here tonight, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one, everybody.